Hello, hello. I'm Casey.
And I'm Fallon.
And this is
Render the Darkness.
Ooh. Sort of participated.
Sort of.
But not really. Okay, we are still doing our 50-state series, and today we are doing our first case out of California. We decided to go ahead and start with the ghost case.
Ghosties.
So we're going to do the ghost case today, and today is not the day it's going to come. Oh, yeah, we are. So it's Tuesday, and then we'll do our first true crime on Friday, and then our second true crime on the following Tuesday. So you guys still have plenty of time to get in requests for this state if you have any, so please do so. We would love to hear it. Let's go ahead and do our fun fact real quick for this episode.
Oh, fun fact. Guess who got in contact with us? Not Eminem.
Oh, he must not listen yet. He must not listen yet, but he will. You guys get the word out. Eminem, not the candy marshmallows. Okay, so the actual fun fact for this episode is the word folklore was created in 1846 by a man named William Thoms, or Toms, Thoms. He was an Englishman, and it was meant to be another way to say things like popular antiquities and popular literature. Okay. Why did you do that? What did it?
I did not mean to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're crying.
Oh no, it was just really, it hurt, but it was really funny. Sorry.
God, you made him shift a bone. That sounded really hard. For those that didn't catch that, Fallon just slammed her wrist down on the desk as hard as she could do it for whatever reason.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt your fun fact.
No, you're fine. I think I got it out. I think I worried about your pain after I finished it, so
okay.
We're good.
Okay.
Okay, so I did a little something different for me on this one. I really tried to shy away from the more famous cases, but being as how we are traveling to California on this one, I would feel remiss if I didn't do a case on the extremely famous RMS Queen Mary. For those that don't know, RMS stands for Royal Mail Ship. MAIL.
Oh.
Like letters, not
men. MALE.
Yeah. Wasn't gendering the boat. Okay. I will also let you know ahead of time, there's no way I could possibly have given all of the information on the history of this magnificent and extremely important to history ship. Even if I could, that's not supposed to be the focus on this case, but I will put the information needed to get us where we're going for the case, as well as I will make sure to add all the links for the resources needed to be able to learn about the full history if that's something that you're interested in. There will also be a link for the book written about the ghost of the ship, as well as a link you can use to find the movie that was made about the ship.
Okay.
I will also tell you that what I just said in reference to the history of the ship, it kind of applies to the ghosts of this ship as well. This is the most haunted ship probably on the entire planet, if not one of the most haunted places as a whole on the entire planet. And that's based on the amount of pictures and recordings and footage and personal experiences that people have had since this ship has been in existence. So it's gonna feel a little shortchanged at the end. It isn't. I included as much as I could. I may later do another case on this to kind of pick up where I leave off a little bit at the end there. Just because I don't want to feel like I did shortchange this case. But I did what I thought was pertinent for the 50 state series.
Gotcha.
So let's dive into a brief history. The RMS Queen Mary was originally a British ocean liner, and she was owned by Conrad White Star Line. It operated out of the North Atlantic Ocean and ran from 1936 to 1967. After being officially retired and bought by the city of Long Beach in 1967. I didn't notice I should have put a comma and I put a period, so that was supposed to be one full sentence. And I was like, wait, that sounds like I'm shortchanging the first sentence. Anyway, that was supposed to be one consecutive sentence. So let me reread that. It operated out of the North Atlantic Ocean and ran from 1936 to 1967 after being officially retired and bought by the city of Long Beach.
Okay.
Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was 100% my fault.
It's alright, because whenever you said it, I was just like,
I did too. My brain went, huh? So again, just to clarify, that was a brief consolidation of information. I am aware that I didn't put anywhere near the information that I should have, even in that little tiny bit. And that's it. That's all the history I put.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. But stick with me here on the path of needed knowledge I've carved out for this case, please.
Alrighty.
Her maiden voyage was said to have been on May 27th, 1937, and another source said 1936, so just in case, I'll include that. By August, so just 3 months later, the Queen Mary won the Blue Riband. For those that don't know what that is, it's kind of like an unofficial tribute or recognition given mostly to passenger liners running through the Atlantic Ocean that have a record highest average speed.
Oh.
Now, granted, she lost that title by 1937, but still, that's a pretty great accomplishment after only 3 months. But not to fret on it being taken away from her, because she would get it back in 1938. Yeah. And the Queen Mary would hold on to that accolade the second time until 1952.
Ooh.
So an impressive amount of time.
Yeah.
Once World War II began, they converted her from an ocean liner to a troop ship, which is a ship that would be used to transport soldiers, with the Normandy and the Queen Elizabeth ship running the same course as well. Uh-huh. Well, not the same course, but doing the same thing. They were also converted to troop ships from ocean liners.
Okay.
Said that the Queen Elizabeth is kind of like a cousin to the Queen Mary, I guess. This would not be the only conversion the ship would see in her over 30 years running on the ocean, but it was one of the most important. Queen Mary's job was to ferry Allied soldiers during wartime from Australia and New Zealand to the United Kingdom, or at least at first, that's what it was used for. On October 2nd, 1942, the RMS Queen Mary, also referred to as the Gray Ghost at this point because during the time of her use by the U.S. Army as a transport for troops, her speed and size made her impossible to catch. She was also responsible for a pretty horrific accident around this time. It's actually considered the worst one during World War II by Britain.
Uh-oh.
The Germans were doing everything in their power to catch the RMS Queen Mary, including sending anti-aircraft cruisers after her and offering a bounty, as well as the Iron Cross, which for those that don't know what that is, it is a military award called the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross, and it was awarded to those for their extreme bravery or for those who showed strong and successful leadership. So it was like a German award for those things.
Okay.
So Hitler actually was offering those awards for anybody that could sink this ship.
Ew.
So in her attempt to avoid the U-boats the Germans were sending after her, the Queen Mary had a specific route planned out. She would steam forward in a zigzag pattern. While traveling this course, one of the escorts provided to the Queen Mary, and I hope I say this right, but the Curacao was closer than it should have been. And because it was so close, when it came time for the Queen Mary to make a turn, the Curacao wasn't able to move out of the way fast enough, and the Queen Mary ultimately struck the Curacao and cut the ship in half.
Ouch.
The Queen Mary had strict orders not to stop on their path or deviate for any reason, so it was said that she kept going despite having just destroyed another ship.
Oh, no.
And it was like an allied ship, too. It was a ship out there to protect her.
Right.
I did read in another resource, though, that the captain of the Queen Mary, Gordon Illingsworth, although he wasn't able to stop his own ship, he did send out an order for the other escorts, or also called destroyers at the time. Anyway, he did send out an order to start looking for survivors from the Curaçao. So he didn't just like leave them totally high and dry. He did send for help.
Well, that's good.
I read in one source that said there were 437 men on board and only 99 of them survived.
Oh.
And another source said that there were 439 men on board and 101 of them survived. But both sources said the Curaçao's captain, John W. Boutwood, did survive the crash.
Yeah, either way, it's still a lot of lives lost there.
A lot of lives, like 300 plus. This tragedy is said to be part of the reason why there are so many spirits still on board the Queen Mary. She was responsible for a lot of deaths that day, and although I know they didn't actually happen on the ship, it definitely seemed to play a part in the karma of the ship, which we'll get into a little bit more later. Another important feat for the Queen Mary came in 1943 when she became the record holder for carrying the most people on one vessel. What was that number, you ask, Fallon?
Yes, please. What number was that?
An astonishing 16,600 people.
Ooh, that's a lot of peoples.
She still holds that record to this day.
Oh, nice. Go Queen Mary.
Okay, so we're going to make a drastic jump here. We're going to go forward to May of 1971.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's a huge jump. But this is the day the Queen Mary was converted and designated as a tourist attraction. It was officially opened in December of 1971 as Jacques Cousteau's Museum of the Sea.
Nice.
So just so everybody is aware, I am fully aware that I skipped way to the part where she's been bought by Long Beach and she's been docked and all that stuff. I'm aware. I jumped forward from war times to dock time when she's been retired, and that is a huge chunk of her history that it did not include, but I will add it here and there throughout the rest of the case. By November 1972, the hotel portion had been opened, and after some struggles with the best way to run the hotel, the Hyatt tried to pull the hotel out of the funk they were seeing at that point, and they also struggled to get the ship where they were trying to get it. So they were trying to convert it from a ship to a museum/hotel.
Okay.
At this point. Finally, in 1980, Jack Rather took over operation of the ship, hotel, and all the other attractions. The significance of Jack Rather was that he owned the Disney Hotel, and although Jack Rather himself passed away in 1984, it wasn't until 1988 that the Disney Corporation made an offer for the ship, and Rathport Properties accepted the offer. My goodness.
So Disney owns the boat?
They did.
Oh.
They did own the boat for a very short period of time.
Oh, okay.
So this is how the Port Disney, which was an amusement park and a resort in Disneyland with the Queen Mary right in the middle of it, was supposed to come to be.
Okay.
But unfortunately, there was too much red tape involved, so they moved on and they let go of their lease of the ship in 1992, which caused the Queen Mary Hotel to be closed in September 1992. And by December that year, the entire Queen Mary officially shut down.
Aww.
Don't worry though, she reopened in February 1993 and was reopened by the city of Long Beach, California. Yay. The hotel part of the ship, which after being revamped on the inside, was actually legally deemed to be a building rather than a ship because they literally removed every mechanical part that made it a workable ship. The ship can no longer be ran in the water or used as a ship at all.
Okay.
They ended up reopening it in May of that year. And the point of including this history is because a lot of reports of the hauntings came during the time frame that the museum and the hotel were closed. So a lot of the reports came between the time that Disney let go of their lease and Long Beach picked up the operation of getting it workable again.
Okay, so it was like, they were in there like...
They were like transitioning phase.
Remodeling
it and getting it ready again. Like they were going to reopen it and revamp it and make it a whole new experience for people to go into.
They made the ghosties upset.
I don't know if I'd say that, but I guess kind of some. Anyways, now that we have some, and I do mean some, of the history, let's get into the hauntings. And again, please don't come at me. I am aware of the mountain of history this ship has that I did not include. But let's keep in mind what we're here for, and that is the ghosties.
Ghosties.
The ship is considered, as I said earlier, to be one of the most haunted places, not only in the United States, but in the world. It also has one of the highest recorded experiences of spirits still to this day in history.
We should go do that.
Yeah, so take that, like, think about that. Like, of all the places that have all of these mountains and mountains of experiences reported on them, this ship, has one of the highest numbers of reported experiences. When it was closed, there were security guards who were still employed there, and their job was to protect the Queen Mary. Make sure no vandals got on it, make sure nobody that wasn't supposed to be on it got on it, whatever. The guards would claim so many different experiences while they were working there during that year. So that was during the time that the Disney had released let go of the lease, and the Long Beach was trying to get her back on track. So while that was happening, they had security guards there to ensure the safety of the ship.
Gotcha.
Lots of them reported noises, phantom voices, the sounds of parties being thrown. They reported seeing people trespassing, but after attempting to chase them down, there was no one there. So many other experiences took place during this time that a lot of the guards would often refuse to work inside the ship. They would only guard from outside and on the ground.
So if they thought somebody was in there, it was just like, oh, well.
Yeah, pretty much. They were like, no, negative. Some people believe that one of the pool rooms, the first class pool room, which is actually the dressing room, which actually is the dressing room in the pool area, to be exact, for the location. Some people believe that that's actually a portal for spirits, so they can come and go as they please on and off the ship.
Ooh, cool.
I know I said that sentence very weird. I don't know what's happening.
It's a ghosty episode.
Every time we do a ghost episode, some weird, strange, bizarre stuff starts happening. I'm not going to lie to you. When I was trying to write this case, and that's part of the reason why it's going to seem a little sped up at the end, I started having some really weird heebie-jeebie stuff happening while I was trying to read about this and research it and write about it. So there was a couple of nights where I would be working on it alone in my living room, and I would have to shut my computer, like I'd have to close my computer because I would start getting chill bumps and the hair on the back of my neck would start standing up. And I don't know, I just feel like when it comes to paranormal stuff, like instinctively your body tells you when something is real and when it's not. And you know, there were several of the ghosts that I tried to focus on and write about in this case that I got that feeling on, and I did. I had to shut down my computer, and it shut down my progress for the whole night because I was like, nope, I'll get back to that in the daytime when there are people moving around. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little creeped out on this one. So people believe that the dressing room that is located at the first class pool room is possibly a portal for spirits so they can come and go as they please.
Cool.
Let me say that a little better. This particular room, although it's not still in use, is considered to be the location for most paranormal activity due to its location being the middle of, or as I read it called, the heart of the ship. And that's why the location is believed to be a portal. And I guess that's like a thing for like paranormal investigators. I think a lot of them believe that whatever the heart of the location is can potentially be some kind of like a portal vortex thing for interdimensional beings and spirits and things like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I've heard that a lot.
Let's talk about some of the spirits themselves that are said to exist.
Abby.
There is believed to be the... There is believed to be the spirit of two men who were originally working on the ship when it was being converted to the troop ship before the construction had to be stalled due to lack of funds and thousands of shipbuilders were laid off. So when that happened, there were 3 men who had gone missing from the ship.
Oh.
A few years later, when construction would be reinstated, 2 bodies were found in the bottom of the ship near the double hull. It was assumed that they had unalived themselves at the time that they had gone missing, because that was when the Depression had hit and shipbuilders had been laid off, as I just mentioned. So maybe they were worried they weren't going to be able to provide for their families without a job. So that's kind of what people assumed happened. But once their bodies were found, there was actually another theory being kicked around, and it was that perhaps the men had actually died from some kind of a fume inhalation. The idea of that is because the men were found very close together, and there was a welding torch located like within a really close proximity of one of the men.
Okay.
So they were thinking that maybe they were actually working, and then they ingested some kind of a fume that knocked them out, and then they just continued to breathe that while they were passed out, and then they died.
Yeah.
But because they were on the bottom of the ship, nobody found them there.
That's sad.
Is the idea. But there's also the theory that they may have unalived themselves. But I personally think that the fume inhalation theory is more likely because the being found so close together and there being a welding torch. I don't know if it's true or not, but I read that one of the men's names was John Henry. And as for the third man that I mentioned who had gone missing, it's believed he too was a welder who may have accidentally become sealed inside the double hull where he died.
Oh.
For those that don't know what a hull is, it's the outer shell of the ship used to safeguard the ship from flooding, weather, and structural damage. Once it was discovered what happened to the man, from what I read, they actually got permission from the family to leave him inside the hull. But I will also add that this part is strictly a tale. There is zero proof or evidence or record that this is true in any way, so this may not have happened at all. I mean, there is record that 3 men did go missing. So they did find 2 of the 3 men.
So you're saying that there might still be a body just chilling in the hole?
There may be, yeah. Well, they've redone the ship so many times. I don't know if he's still in there, but maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they ever redid the hull or not. The claims of it began due to the tapping sounds that people have reported hearing coming from the hull area of the ship. They claim to hear it most near the boiler room stage. People believe the taps to be that of the old worker who is still working.
Yeah, he's all like, let me out.
Maybe.
Let me out.
Maybe. I would be.
That's creepy.
I'd be like, it's dark in here.
It's just...
Due to its designated route, the RMS Queen Mary began at one point transporting prisoners of war to America. Most of these prisoners were of Irish and German descent, so fighting was a regular happening, and sometimes these fights would lead to death. These spirits are often reported to be heard by paranormal investigators. Another spirit some think may still be aboard the ship is none other than Winston Churchill himself, or Colonel Warden as the RMS Queen Mary knew him.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's believed that the cigar smoke people report smelling on the ship is that of Churchill. especially since they smell it mostly only when they're passing by Churchill's old suite.
Ooh.
He was a common writer on the ship, and I know that there has to be, like, I know the idea is that there has to be something there for the spirit to attach itself to. The RMS Queen Mary is where Churchill made some of the most important and impactful decisions he ever had to make, like life or death decisions, which again is a very interesting part of history, and I highly encourage anyone who doesn't know the history to go read about it in D-Day and all that stuff. But his desk that he had in that suite is actually still in there to this day.
Oh.
So
That's
there's
cool.
your physical item that he could be attached to.
Right.
And, his spirit may be lingering because so much of his spirit was on and left in that ship.
Yeah.
Because of the impact that ship had and the choices he had to make on the ship. There's some cultures that believe that no matter where you go in life or on the planet, you leave a little piece of you in all of those places.
Yeah.
So take that and combine it with something that you personally owned. I believe you could be physically attached to something like that. We talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about that when we did the Alcatraz case.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the Birdman who didn't actually die at the prison, but people believed he was still there.
Yeah. The Birdman.
Mm-hmm. There have also been claims that people have seen him by the gift shop in an area known as the Promenade Deck. They also claim to have seen him in the restaurant named after him too. Which apparently the Promenade Deck is where his actual office used to be.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Going in the restaurant and be able to see Mr. Churchill.
Oh, yeah, that would be really cool. I say that bravely on camera, knowing damn good and well that I would run.
I think it would be pretty cool.
Other potential lingering passengers may be the spirits of the wounded soldiers the Queen Mary had been charged with transporting from England to America at one point. Many of the wounded were in critical condition, and some were thought to have not made the voyage to New York. Another reported death of the Queen Mary was that of Thomas Marshall, who was serving as the ship's third officer in 1948, and it was reported that he fell off of a ladder and died.
Ooh.
Other supernatural things to be reported by guests, visitors, occupants of the hotel, investigators, guards, and staff include things like tools going missing, only to resurface in other places on the ship, men screaming, and water rushing in the forwards of the ship when she isn't running. And according to psychic Peter James, he claimed there to be over 600 spirits on the ship.
Dang.
Of course, what would a ghost story be without a lady in white? The RMS Queen Mary has one of her very own.
Always a lady in white.
There is, but this one's a little different.
Okay.
The difference in the Queen Mary's is not only that the documented sightings of her, but she's also quite vocal as well.
Oh.
Yeah. She sings and dances. She's most often seen in the Queen's Salon, which was originally the main lounge. So that's where the elite of the ship would attend dances and listen to the bands.
Ooh.
She's not only been seen in the salon, she's also reportedly been seen in the old Paranormal Research Center room, as well as the isolation ward, and in the Shrine of Immortal Chaplain, and the hotel lobby, and lastly, the staircase.
Dang, she's all over the place.
She is, and she's almost always dancing or singing to some kind of music that only she can hear.
Oh, so she's always happy.
Yeah, she's said to be very soft-spoken and very sweet. Nobody has ever reported anything negative about the lady in white on this ship.
That's cool.
In fact, it's reported that a lot of the spirits aboard this legendary vessel are very vocal. Another couple famous spirits are that of John Petter and a woman named Sarah, which we will talk about later. And speaking of Peter James, this leads me to talk about who is probably the most known spirit, and that is of a little girl whose name is Jackie. Jackson is the one who discovered her name is Jackie because she told him her name was Jackie.
Aww.
The story of Jackie, from what I understand, comes from the time frame after the war when the ship was tasked with reuniting brides in England with their husbands in America. Again, you can get more information and clarification on this in the links in the show notes. It said that she was traveling back to America, and while she was traveling, she drowned in the second-class pool.
Oh.
The most frequent claims of sightings of her are around the balcony and also in the pool room. She alternates between the first-class pool and the second-class pool, which is where Peter first saw her. After seeing her, he claimed she asked him to meet her in the first-class pool room, and so he did. He actually recorded this interaction, and he was able to speak to Jackie for over 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And that whole thing is recorded. And you can find it. Apparently, she likes to play games with people by appearing, disappearing, and reappearing somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a 17-minute recording of another interaction that Bob Davis and Brian Clune took. They were the hosts of a show called Planet Paranormal. Frank Barracuas also caught a recording of Jackie speaking to him. And there are still reports of people hearing Jackie to this day, although not nearly as frequently as they used to happen.
Oh.
This introduces us to a couple other ghosts. For example, Sarah. She's thought to be a little girl as well, but she has taken up the job of protecting Jackie. And apparently she takes it very seriously, so seriously that sometimes when paranormal investigators are attempting to contact Jackie, Sarah jumps in and speaks for her and tells them no.
Oh.
The lady in white has also taken to Jackie. She is known to sing for her, and then there's another spirit that seems to be attached to Jackie as well, and that is a spirit referred to as Grumpy.
Mm.
Let's talk a little bit about who people think Grumpy might be. He's known to scare and growl at people.
Mm-hmm.
He's mostly reported being in the first-class pool area under the stairs by the storage. He also has been reported in the green room and hallway, both rooms closely located to the pool area. Some believe he's the spirit of a once-upon-a-time captain of the ship. There are also theories of him being someone who may have committed a murder aboard the ship, specifically that of a woman whose body was found in the staircase he stays close to.
Oh.
It's believed whoever murdered her most likely unalived themselves, and Grumpy might have been that culprit.
Okay.
Then there's the spirit of William Eric Stark. He was supposedly accidentally poisoned, which I guess technically he accidentally poisoned himself, kind of.
Okay.
The story goes that he was the senior second officer at the time and was tasked with entertaining some new crew members, so he invited them to his cabin where he planned to share gin with them. He asked the steward to get the gin, and instead of going where he should have, the steward decided to grab a bottle from another cabin close by and gave it to Stark. Unfortunately, the steward nor Stark would notice that it wasn't actually gin in the bottle at all. It was actually filled with a cleaning solution that was toxic if ingested. Stark poured himself a glass, and sadly he would die from this mistake, and not like a quick death either.
Ooh.
It was several days for him to succumb to the side effects of this poison. It was slow, it was painful, and it was agonizing.
That is terrible.
So some people think that Stark may actually be Grumpy.
I can see
Because
of
the growling and the...
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another fellow we're going to discuss is John Petter, as I mentioned earlier. He was a worker for the Queen Mary in 1966. He worked in the engine room. So the men in the engine room and the boiler room would often try to find ways to pass time. So they had a lot of downtime. One of the particular ways that they liked to pass time was to play games. One of the particular games they liked to play, the premise of that game was when the captain called for the watertight door drills, which was a drill he'd occasionally do that involved sounding an alarm and dropping the doors to ensure they were up to code and still functioning properly. Well, the game was to try to beat the door before it closed after the alarm sounded.
Oh no.
They didn't have a very long window, and unfortunately for Petter, when he was taking his turn one day, he mistimed it and was crushed by watertight door number 13.
Ouch. Mm.
He is said to haunt the area by the door that crushed him to this day. He's known to be very friendly to the ladies. He tickles their ears, he touches their hair, and occasionally gets very close to their face.
No,
There
thank you.
there have also been reports of people hearing crying and moaning from the same area.
Ooh.
Some people believe that Petter isn't the only occupant of area watertight door 13. And this brings us to John Mackenzie. He too was working on the ship. He was supposedly murdered by his co-workers in 1942. The story is that they held him on door 13 until he was crushed to death by it.
Oh gosh, why would they do
They
that?
just did not like him. He was not liked by his coworkers for whatever. It did not tell me why they didn't like him. It just said they didn't like him.
Golly.
The other two spirits most commonly noted are that of what most refer to as Terrence and Jack, and that is because those are the names that people most often report hearing repeated by phantom voices. It's not really known who they were or how they died, but it's said they always appear together, and it's said they often bring this feeling of like an intense heat with them. Like maybe they died in a fire or in the boiler room or I don't know, some kind of heat was involved maybe.
Huh.
They're also known to be a tad physical, but in a fun way. Like they're said to pull on people's clothes as if trying to get somebody's attention.
Okay.
There are many other well-known spirits among the ship. There's Daniel, a little boy, sometimes referred to as the Blue Boy. They say he's around 6 years old, and the name is because of his wardrobe. There's a woman in the bathing suit, said to be in her early 30s. There's some question on the validity of her. Some say it's possible she's kind of an illusion of the ship because of the way the lighting is angled on some of the tours and stuff that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Then there's the dude, most often seen in the Sir Winston's restaurant, usually in a top hat, so he had style.
Oh, cool.
There's Jeremy, said to be a friend of Jackie's, who's also a little boy. There's David and Sarah, Dana and Penny, a spirit referred to as Fedora Dude, another little girl named Carrie, and Captain John Treasure Jones himself is said to be still on board the ship. He was the one who actually captained the Queen Mary on her last voyage to Long Beach. And lastly, there's the reports of orbs of lights seen frequently and all throughout the ship, as well as the shadow people.
Ooh, shadow people.
Some say they're spirits of the ship, and some say they're beings using the vortex or portal believed to be on the ship to travel back and forth from one dimension to another. They are also reportedly seen all over the ship at all hours. There are also reports of hot spots throughout the ship.
Like cold spots, but hot?
Like cold spots, but hot spots throughout the ship.
Interesting.
I think a lot of those are towards like the boiler room and the engine room and the places like that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they are throughout the ship, but I think most of them are in those areas. Some of the more haunted rooms or locations of the ship include, but are not limited to, room B340, room B474, the isolation ward, the Royal Theater, the propeller box, the spaces we've already talked about, which would be the engine room, the watertight door 13, the green room. Then there's the bridge located on the command deck, the promenade deck, deck B, which is where the morgue was located, the forward cargo hold, the first class pool area, the second class pool area, the employee area, the Britannia room, and several others.
You said there was a morgue on that ship?
There was. Whenever they were transporting the soldiers, the injured soldiers back and forth, they had to have somewhere to put, so they put a morgue on the boat.
Okay.
It's no longer a morgue on the boat, but there used to be at one point.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I realized I did not give anywhere near the information in this case I could and probably should have. So like I said earlier, I may go back and do it again one day. Yeah, just to kind of make it better. But for today, for the 50 State series, I apologize for the shortness of this case, which I could have made. Well, shoot, probably I could have followed suit on Fallon and made it a 3-parter.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm like, part 2. Oh, why?
I may actually do a part 2 on this case. I may do my true crime case, and then I may flip back and do a part 2 on this if I have enough daylight. to get it done.
If I have enough light.
If I don't, then I'll definitely do it after the 50 state series, but there will be a day, whether it's now or after the series, when I do come back to this case, because it's just, I didn't even touch the surface of information that there is on this ship. But either way, this ship is fascinating. I highly recommend you read the book. I highly recommend you watch the movie, you research the history of the ship, and more importantly, go take the tour.
What was the name of the movie?
Right. What was the name of the movie?
Yeah.
It's going to be in the links. I don't know it. It's going to be in the links. I don't remember. I think it's literally called the Queen Mary. I think that's literally, they're the ghosts of the Queen Mary or something like that. Like that's the name of the book is The Ghosts of the Queen Mary.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I missed it because you're all like, go watch the movie. And I was like,
that's not the one I have capitalized though. I mean, so you should go watch the movie. I just can't remember the name of it now. And I'm 40, Fallon. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast.
Me too.
What'd you have for breakfast?
I didn't have coffee.
Huh? Trick question. I didn't have breakfast either. Ha! Anyways, there will be a link for the movie, which will have the title of the movie in it. I do know the movie. I just cannot think of the name of it right now, and I wasn't smart enough to include it in my notes.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Because I just start looking.
There's
there's
a million and one questions she could ask that I would know the answers to, but she somehow always fiddles around in the universe and plucks out the one question that I can't answer every time. And then I sit here and go, da, 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 da. It'll be in the show notes. As I've said 12 times.
I'm sorry.
Anywho's, go take the tour. That's right. I didn't mention that yet. You can absolutely go take a ghost tour on this ship. Go visit its gift shops. Eat in the restaurants. Stay at the hotel. Spend a day there investigating whatever your heart desires for your paranormal curiosities. Or maybe your historical curiosities. Either
I want
way,
to do it.
This ship has you covered. You can do it. It's not even expensive either. Like, I looked up what it would cost. Don't ask me what it would cost, Fallon, because I didn't put it in my notes, but I did look it up, and it's really not that expensive. So if you're in that area, or if you're traveling to that area, might be a fun little stop in there.
Oh, coolio. That was pretty cool. Grumpy.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
No, I was just talking about Grumpy.
Oh, yeah, Grumpy.
This is a Grumpy.
Yeah. So that's my case on the RMS Queen Mary. I'm sorry if it feels so slated. I know it was, and I'm sorry. I'm a big old chicken. If I had been able to work on this case at night, it would have been bomb.
I thought it was really good. You put in a lot of information. There's a lot of ghosties in there. I liked it.
Yeah, I know, but I just feel like I didn't do it justice for what it is, and I feel kind of bad about that. And I know a lot of y'all are like, "Oh, why didn't you record the case, or why didn't you spend the time?" Because I'm a big old baby.
And when it comes to paranormal
when it comes
stuff,
to ghost stuff, that's her world, and I know I'm kind of stepping in and out of it on this 50 state series here or whatever. And I'm not saying I'm not going to do paranormal cases. I just prefer the folklore and the cryptid and the true crime. Paranormal itself is not my thing. I've been a CNA since 2006. We grew up in a house that was haunted. We've always been in houses that were haunted. I don't know if the ghosts follow us or what. I've worked in nursing homes that were haunted. I've had a lot of personal paranormal experiences that have caused me to have a lot of anxiety and fear when it comes to paranormal things. You know, everybody takes different directions when they experience things. We've experienced a lot of the same things when it comes to paranormal. She took the direction of obsession. I took the direction of fear. So, you know, and here we are trying to do a podcast about it, which is cool, and I'm all on board for it as long as I can work in the daytime, which means sometimes my paranormal cases aren't going to be as woohoo as they could be because they were as I was trying to read about it. Because I'm a big old baby. Anyway, rant box over. Thanks thank you guys for spending your time with us today.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Ghosties.
Yeah, ghosties. If you want to include any more information, please feel free. We'd love to hear about it. I know there's a lot more for somebody out there to add, so please do.
Yeah, if you've ever been there, did an investigation.
Yeah, absolutely. You had your own personal experiences there. You know, I know Chris said he's been on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. He didn't say anything about, like, having any kind of experiences on it, but he said he's been on it.
Huh. Well.
So, yeah.
I want to go there.
I would like to go there, too. Maybe we'll take a trip to Long Beach one day and go check out the Queen Mary and do a live or something.
Yeah, you can do half of it and I'll do the other half.
No. No, we don't do that shit together. That's going to be a team effort. And when I say team effort, there may be some Velcro involved.
Yeah.
No, wait. I can't do that in case I need to run. I don't think I can carry you, too.
Oh, I just thought you meant you were going to be super duper close. I didn't know you meant like you were going to actually Velcro.
I will. What's that game where you like throw the ball and you catch it?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember, but yeah.
What's that? Oh, what's that called? I don't remember the name of it is. Anyway, I'll be like that.
So be like, ah.
Yeah. I'll be like, ah. Anyway, thank you guys for spending your time with us. We really, really appreciate it. If you like what we're doing and you don't mind taking a second to support our content, it would help us out a whole lot. If you could just go onto our YouTube channel and just hit a little button, give us a subscribe, that would be awesome. We would really appreciate it. If not, just give us a like, a share, tell your friends, something to help us get boosted if you can. We'd appreciate it.
Tell the world.
Speak of our names.
Please.
Heath. Not our real name. Our podcast name.
Yes, our podcast name.
Yeah. Do it. And in case you don't know what that is, we are Render the Darkness.
Bye.
Bye.